So on a local level, Wednesday evening, the Augusta County Board of Supervisors, and it turns out the Rockingham County Board of Supervisors both passed resolutions against the redistricting amendment. In Augusta County, they're complaining primarily about being split into 3 districts and potentially having 3 different Congress people representing them, and of course no one from here. One of the supervisors went as far as saying, if Richmond wants to redistrict the whole western part and put us in West Virginia. So with that in mind, if the redistricting happens, how do you reach out to very conservative elected officials in these counties and work with them and get them to understand that you're in there ready to fight for them and the people here as well?
Yeah, so a few things on this. First and foremost, let's be clear, these districts are becoming more competitive, not less competitive. So just as a quantitative data question, politicians are going to have to work harder to represent this area. They're going to have to win over more voters. The status quo maps are effectively gerrymandered in that they all create geographically enormous districts in which there's almost no competition. There's a reason I'm the only Democrat that has won any of those seats in this century, certainly in a long time, a little longer than that. I think voters around here should like the idea that their politicians are going to have to work harder for their vote. I think on the question of this part of the state in particular, you've had a situation that has basically been a Republican incumbency protection plan, and that hasn't led to the kind of equivalent of, say, Rick Boucher delivering half the economic development for Southwest Virginia. That has been congresspeople who don't even have to show up, like Klein and McGuire. So anybody who thinks that the current system has been working in terms of this area getting strong representation, I would absolutely show them the record of these congresspeople. So these will be more competitive districts. They will have more efforts. And, again, I'm not saying I like everything about the maps, but anyone who understands how Congress works would probably see that as an opportunity for Augusta to get 3 bites at the apple of congresspeople who may be willing to fight for them on the kinds of things I know I prioritized, which is things like getting the Robertson Bridge modernized, getting broadband expanded in every county that I represented. So this, I think, is important. The other thing, which you will see already from the way that I'm campaigning, is I was meeting with farmers and other stakeholders from Rockingham County the other day because the families that work on their farms live in Harrisonburg and their kids are in the Harrisonburg schools. My representation of the area is going to be more expansive than the lines, and I'll be clear, while I am excited to represent the new 6th, I have been very, very clear with Southside Virginia that I will not stop fighting for them either. I didn't stop fighting for Southside when they voted me out of office, and I'm not going to stop fighting for those communities now. So I think this is something where, if you understand my record, I'm going to be engaging that broader set of stakeholders, right? So if you think about everybody that's impacted by the rural clinics shutting down in Augusta, whether or not that ends up in or out of a district line, that is still going to affect the people that I am fighting for and trying to represent. So I think this is partly about why it's useful to want to elect somebody who's got the experience, not just in Congress, about how to deliver for communities, but has the experience in communities, leading organizations that are fighting for better wages and lower costs every day. So I think that before we get to some of the broader redistricting questions, I think that one of the things you also run into, and one of the reasons several of these local efforts have ended up kind of falling on their face, is that ultimately, like in Lynchburg, they were trying to disenfranchise their own voters. And that goes back to something else that's very important about this fight. It's up to the voters. This is not what the Republicans are doing with the backroom deal. This is 100% in the power of Virginia voters. We respect the voters. We will respect what they decide. And all of these Republican efforts are efforts to prevent Virginia voters from having a voice. And that's what Texas did in the first place. And here we can be really clear. There is absolutely zero ambiguity about what Texas was doing. Texas was not only trying to silence black and brown people in Texas. They were trying to silence all of Virginia. Because the main thing we vote for in a midterm election is whether you think the country's going in the right direction or the wrong direction. Midterm elections are effectively a parliamentary election And in that, the only thing voters really get to decide on is who's in charge. And when Texas rigs that playing field, it actually robs everyone in Virginia, right, left, and center, from being able to be heard in the midterm elections. They were trying to dilute all of our voices. We are speaking up for democracy and to try to level that playing field. And that's all we need is a level playing field. And 9 of the 11 districts in Virginia are getting more competitive, not less, including most of the districts west of Richmond. So I think it's important for people to actually understand the facts rather than trying to make the facts fit the preconceived narrative that they're trying to scare people with.